Morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. We're thrilled to have you join us today. For those of you who are new, you'll have a chance to introduce yourself in just a second. If you are new, you may not know about the Kauffman Foundation. They work with entrepreneurs around the country. They are a national organization and really help make the entrepreneurial journey easier. One of the ways they do that is they have obviously a national mission, but also local missions. There's over 120 chapters all around the US, hence the 1 million cups of coffee that we probably consume every Wednesday at 9 a.m., depending on where you are in the US and which time zone. We are, of course, the most amazing in Fairfax, not that we're biased. The key pillars for 1 million cups, so what makes us unique or different. This is about a presentation or basically telling a story about your business. It's not about a pitch. We're not here to provide funding, although if we could, we would love it, but we need to win some lottery money for that. We are about authentic connections and really getting to know each other. So you'll hear candid, compassionate feedback, all constructive and positive. We are run by the community, for the community, and we're all about being inclusive. One of the things you can do with your phone is scan the QR code and just check in. This allows us to, one, get swag for people, and two, it lets us tell 1 Million Cups corporate, hey, we've got attendees, this is working great, and keeping track of how things are going. We would love to get to 30 or 40 people in our meetings every week. When we were in person pre-COVID, we did do that, sometimes even up to 50. Now what we do is hybrid the first Wednesday of every month, and then we're virtual the rest of the month. So we have had presenters from all over the US, which is super exciting, but we'd love to have you join us too. So again, you'll see that black and white QR code come up on a couple of other screens. If you miss it while I click through, don't worry about it. You will have another chance. So welcome to our visitors. If you are new to the group, I would love for you to introduce yourself. I think I know who is new. So I'm going to start with Sawyer. Would you mind unmuting and introducing yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Sawyer. I'm not a business owner yet, but I'm here to, listen to all of your stories and hopefully gain the courage to start my own Shopify business. I want to do a high ticket drop shipping one because I know that low ticket drop shipping, it takes a lot of customers for a very cheap product in order to be able to make a profit. And so I'm trying to gain the courage to start my own Shopify business and sell high ticket items. So
Fantastic. Well, not an entrepreneur yet. That's definitely a great reason to be here. If we can help you, we are happy to. You can tell your story, present, even if you have an idea and you're like, is this a good idea? What else should I know before I decide to move forward? So we'd love to have you here. You don't have to be well into your business. It's really any stage. So thank you for joining us this morning.
thank you
Good
for
to see
having
you.
me. I appreciate it.
Of course. I think we have Janine Inselman as well. And if I said that
Hello,
wrong, my apologies.
everybody. Hi, good morning. Sorry, I'm driving. Last day of school, so I have last minute for the
Ah,
teachers.
excellent.
So I went to the program of George Mason, one of their events, and that's where I saw you, and I thought I'm gonna attend in one of the events that you have. So my name is Janine Inselman, and my business is a sewing school with
Yes, I
yes,
remember.
yeah, it's a sewing school which core is promoting sustainability and sustainable fashion. So right now I'm on the stage of the business plan should be ready by the end of the month, and the website, all the content will be ready by July. And now, right now,
Yes.
I'm in the process of like looking for a commercial space. I found I need to be strategic. For me, I have to be either Reston or Herndon, because within 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'll be able to reach 6 to 8 towns and cities with the
Perfect.
the target market that I have. So
Fantastic.
if I'll be
Well,
able to
let's do
close,
this, Janine.
yes.
If you can come to, some of our next meetings once school has wrapped up and you're able to join safely or in person. I know we have people in the commercial space who can help you. And I've also got several connections in sustainable fashion. So I remember hearing you at the FCDEA event, the Entrepreneurship 101, and I thought, I need to follow up with her. So I'm so glad you joined us this morning.
Yes.
Definitely stay on the call as long as it's safe. Excited that summer is almost here and school's almost done for you. But we would love to have you come back. And again, as I told Sawyer, we're happy to work with each of you and just help you prepare, tell your story, get feedback. But thank you for joining us. Just to keep us on track for time, I think, Doug, I feel like you've attended, but if I'm wrong, I'm gonna just go for the 50-50, see what happens. If you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great. And then next we'll have Chris introduce himself and then we'll keep going.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I don't know if you remember me, but I did present on here before, but that was a while ago. That's like
Yes, I recognize your face.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
thank you.
yeah, I was wondering how everybody's doing, and I would like to, catch up and see how everybody's doing.
Very glad to have you back, Doug.
Thank you.
I lost the 50-50, but that's okay. We're more excited that you were here than me winning. So great to see you. Welcome back. And then Chris Lee, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Certainly. Can you hear
If
me
you're
okay?
driving, good morning. Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Yeah, my name is Christopher Lee. That was actually my son Sawyer in the other room. We recently relocated from Texas to, we're actually in Spotsylvania. But I also have a few startup ideas that I'm working on. I'm working on code for them right now, but I honestly don't know if the ideas are any good. So a friend of mine told me about your group, so I hope to start
Perfect.
working with you guys, and hopefully you can tell me if I'm in the right direction, and hopefully I can get back as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of our other organizers will put a link in chat so you know where to apply and go visit. But 1millioncups.com/Fairfax. And once you apply, one of our organizers, which you can see on the team, we will meet with you, help you prepare, make it as simple as possible, because this really is low stress.
Yeah.
And thank you again to John Foster for joining us and Dan, our brand ambassadors. Please make sure that if you're interested, let us know in any of these roles. We'd love to have you join.
Sounds good.
We have the Mason Enterprise Center as our space sponsor. Just one thing to call out, July 10th is when we will meet hybrid in person and virtually, not July 3rd, just to respect the 4th and make sure we have as many people as possible. Mason Enterprise Center, I'll go ahead and jump in and speak for them. They are an incubator for any small business looking for space, looking for mentors, looking for help in or with the SBDC or ICAP. And if you don't know what those are, it would be good to reach out and talk with them. We are going to do a networking event at their location in Fairfax, July 30th. So you can explore the space. But for some of you looking for space or wanting to have an entrepreneurial network, they are fantastic. And once you join as a virtual member, or if you need office space, again, you have dedicated mentors you can reach out to for help. That's all part of the package. So really a fantastic group to partner with. Eddie Hill is who we can connect you with there. And again, I said they're our space sponsor. Our coffee sponsor this month is John Rutenberg. John, would you talk to everybody about CCC Solutions?
Thank you so much. Hey, John Rutenberg, CCC Solutions. Great to see some new faces and always great to see my friends. Hey, as coffee sponsor, you get a minute. So next month we need a coffee sponsor, so volunteer, call any organizer. At CCC, we help our clients close more sales with less follow-up fatigue. We automate email campaigns, we manage mail lists, and we help you eliminate those yellow sticky notes that are sitting on your computer monitor, getting in the way of you seeing the monitor. Have everything in one place so that when I call as your client, you can see everything you ever said to me and look really good. Hey, thanks so much. Become a coffee sponsor, be a presenter, and you new guys, come every week. It's really worth it. Thank you.
Can teach you about the CRM. He cannot, however, teach you how to have great hair. That is genetic. But John Ruberg is a priceless treasure. Love having him here. We do work with other groups and partner with other groups. So as I mentioned, and Janine mentioned, Fairfax County EDA, they do a entrepreneurship 101 class, usually every month. I would absolutely look at their website. That will be very important for folks like Janine, potentially Sawyer. It will be helpful for you and Chris just to know what are some of the things that we have to do in Fairfax County that may give you some ideas of what you may need to do if you go to incorporate and start a business where you are. But they are a great resource for entrepreneurs. Veterans Growing America with Donnell Johns. He's actually one of the founders of this chapter. And he has an amazing location in Woodbridge for veterans who want to have space to display their goods. He's also opening a location in Maryland. So check out their events. Both of them fabulous partner organizations. How our meetings work, we'll move into the presenter, Mark Silverman, in just a minute. He'll have about 6 to 8 minutes to present, maybe a little bit longer today, just based on the dialogue and conversation. And then we will have our moderator step in, ask questions, and also manage participants. And so if you decide you want to raise your hand, you can do that physically if you like. But if we've been on Zoom long enough, hopefully we also know where to go under the reactions button. And you can raise your hand, ask your question, and then keep it short. And Mark can also keep his answers concise and intentional, just so we get through as many insights and ideas as possible. And then go back on mute once you're done. So that's sort of how this works. And with that, also last thing I'll point out, you can also put your questions in chat and your ideas in chat. We share the chat and the recording with our presenter later, and we can also have you save the chat at the end of the meeting. So please make sure if you want contact info that you're keeping the chat as well. And be constructive, be nice. I don't think I need to say that, but it's always good just in case. We all have different opinions, different perspectives, and that's what we're here to help Mark with today, to learn from Mark and also provide ideas. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Silverman. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, everybody. I love feedback. Of a former client of mine bought my latest book and sent me a note and said, I'm going to read your book and give you feedback. And I said, I wrote back, please don't give me feedback. It's already published and out in the world. Just tell me it's good or don't tell me anything. Whoever's driving the slides, do I just say next slide when we're ready to go? Great.
Yes, or you can wink at me and I'll flip to the next slide.
I don't have my reading glasses on, so I can't even see where you are. So I am Mark J. Silverman. I'm an executive coach for the last 10 years and live here in Loudoun County in Leesburg. I used to be in Fairfax. What we're going to do today, I've presented to 1 Million Cups before. I want to talk about where I was, the feedback that I got in the last 1 Million Cups, the steps we took, where I am now, and then the topic for discussion that I want to talk about today is where I am in my business, where I am in life as a late middle-aged man, to be generous, and my own experiences and how to keep that motivation and keep the energy up when we're still vibrant and still want to create things. Next slide, please. Great. So this is a slide that Jen made for me years ago when I did my first 1 Million Cups. Basically shows that before I was a technology sales guy, I was homeless and living in my truck. The thing I tell from stage is I went from homeless, 135 pounds, living in my truck, to a millionaire in several years. I'm a short Jewish Tony Robbins. That gets me on podcasts, that gets me on stages. But it's my experience in the tech world and in several of the fastest growing tech startups in history that has given me the groundwork to become an executive coach in 2013. I became an executive coach because I was watching my contemporaries paying the price to be in the 1%. I was watching marriages crumble. I was watching health crumble. I was watching people destroy their lives in order to be in that 1%. And I did that myself, as a matter of fact, and I wanted that to stop. So over the years, I've written some books. I've had several podcasts, and my newest book is The Rising Leader Handbook. Next slide. Okay, so this is where we were when I presented last time. What I wanted to do, I had three books out, and I had done the Mastering Midlife podcast, and I switched over to Mastering Overwhelm because that was what my book Only Tens helped me create. And I did a lot of speaking, a lot of workshops about and I had about over 400 podcasts. What I wanted to do was increase my revenue and scale my business. So I came to 1 Million Cups and sought advice from people on how to do that. And we can go to the next slide. And what happened since the last 2 years is I've gone from 400 episodes to 600 episodes of a podcast. We switched everything else over to the Rising Leader Handbook, to the Rising Leader podcast, and rebranded. My new book came out a couple of weeks ago and is doing really, really well. The makeup of my business still looks pretty much the same. Next slide. Great. So quick introduction to the Rising Leader philosophy. It looks at it mirrors what I do in my coaching practice, working with C-suite executives who've risen through the ranks really fast. Rising leaders, we focus on leading up, becoming a trusted advisor, leading across, leading on a team of powerful leaders, leading your team across, and then leading yourself, becoming your best in all situations. So I use leadership as a way for personal transformation and for improving those lives. Again, back for when I started as a coach and why I coach. All of the success, all of the leadership skills are to make it so that your life and the life of people around you are better. Next slide. So the challenge I had, that I brought to 1 Million Cups, is I was raring to go in taking my business from about 400K a year, which was mostly one-on-one coaching, to I really wanted to diversify and bring it over $1 million a year. I had the intellectual property, I had the name, I had the branding, and I really wanted to have much more revenue come from speaking and from building groups and a monthly recurring revenue type model. Next slide. So what I did, so the suggestions, one of the suggestions was I'm wasting my time on my podcast. So, there was a bunch of people in the audience that told me to stop doing the podcast and drop the podcast. That was not going to happen because I love podcasting. It was a labor of love, even though it was taking a ton of attention and a ton of energy, and it cost a lot to produce. What I did from the suggestion is I shift my focus on the podcast. I went from being Oprah Winfrey on the podcast, just providing value and hoping that it came back to me. So when we rebranded everything to the Rising Leader, now in order to be on my podcast and be on the Rising Leader podcast, you have to be able to hire me, you have to be able to refer to me, or you have to be able to put me in front of an audience that can hire me or refer me. So now from that suggestion, I switched my podcast from just being a value, something that I put out into the world, to a revenue generating and a network building podcast. And it's the response is tremendous. What it's done for my income and the predictability of my business has really helped. So it was a great suggestion. The next was, how do I get the Rising Leader program out in the world? And the discussion really came around, who do I contact and who is my focus? So do I advertise? Do I brand? Do I do LinkedIn? Do I go after the people who are going to be participants in the program, or do I go after HR departments, or do I go after the C-suite? And that was a big topic of conversation. One that I wasn't able to crack the code on. Next slide. Which brings me to why we're presenting today and why the topic of conversation. So we completed the rebrand. I published the Rising Leader Handbook. It got really well received. When I sent it out for advanced praise, I sent it to Steve Chandler, who is known as the godfather of coaching. I was terrified to put this book out. I was terrified to bring myself out and compete in the world of leadership coaching, even though that's what I did for the last 8-9 years. And when I pressed send to Steve and I got this back from him, I knew I was doing the right thing. When Steve praised my book, I kind of felt that was a cathartic moment for me of I have arrived. After the 1 Million Cups, I joined a bunch of programs on how to scale my business, on how to go to build a monthly revenue process, how to hire coaches, how to get my program out there. Spent 2 years and a lot of money. And then in the last program I went to, my first coach invited me to his scaling event. And in the middle of the group, around the group, we were sitting around, and in front of everybody, he says, "So Mark, how you doing on your coaching practice?" I said, "Well, I have a waiting list. I have a full practice." He goes, "How much money you make a year?" I said, "I make about $400,000 or $500,000 a year, pretty reliably." He goes, "So what are you doing? What's the problem here? Why are you trying to scale your business? You have this lifestyle business. You have a steady flow of clients. Why are you trying to push this rock up the hill and create this big thing?" And that was my aha moment. What I realized was I felt like I should scale my business. I should move into hiring coaches and building a brand and doing all these things. And what I realized was I don't want to do it. The reason these programs didn't work, the reason my scaling didn't work was because I didn't want to do it. Where I am in life and what I love to do. I love to coach. I love to do workshops. I love to work with people. I don't want to run a business. I don't want to manage coaches. I don't want to do those kinds of things. So that's where the dilemma is in my life. We can go to the next slide. And that's the topic that I want to bring here. Is I've come to the conclusion for myself. Now I'm going to be 62 years old. I have the dream job. I do what I want to do for a living. I have the income that I want. I've figured out, like I've gotten into the groove. It all clicked in. But then I noticed a bunch of my clients. My clients range from those in their late 20s and 30s and 40s who are rising up the ladder, who are just full of piss and vinegar and really still as ambitious as anybody can be. But then I have about a third of my clients are entrepreneurs or CEOs who are in their 50s, who are in their 60s. And every time they try to open a new business or try to do something again, there's often they're serial entrepreneurs. I think Christopher's talking about having several businesses. They don't understand why they won't do what they did in their 20s. They won't work. They won't push the rock up the hill. They keep thinking they will. They keep trying. And what we've learned is that the motivations have changed. The priorities have changed. And so my question here, and like this group of people are a bunch of entrepreneurs who have been through the ringer. And I think one of the things that you do to keep things interesting is participate and support other people through 1 Million Cups and other organizations. So my question here is, how do you keep the energy up, the focus up, and choose the priorities, because you're still interested in being successful and keeping your business going, but you're also, just a different person. So that's the question I'm bringing to the group today. And that, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing all of that and being vulnerable too at the same time. I know this is definitely not just a you issue. It's definitely something we all are facing. And so with that, I'm gonna switch it over to our moderator to jump in. I saw John also had raised his hand too.
Great. Fabulous presentation, Mark.
Thank you.
And I'm kind of in the same boat, so I'm very interested to see what everybody says. That said, I'm going to start immediately with John Foster, who got his hand up, and then Amy Hughes, who is next.
Great, thank you, Melinda. Mark, love the presentation. I guess because we're in very similar boat in trying to figure that out. And I guess the one thing which I would say to you is, And it's the thing I'm figuring out is why, the big question of why. Why do you want to do it? Why do you want to keep doing it? Why do you want to get out of bed in the morning to do what it is you want to do? And so that's one of the things that I've been going through. But I think that why question is huge going forward.
Agreed. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Amy.
You wanna have your own answer?
Do you want to share with us, Mark, your why?
Oh, so it was really.
John was asking.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, I wasn't. Jen said to be succinct, so one word answers. For me, again, I spent 2 years with a bunch of people who were younger than me, more ambitious than me, and hungrier than me, with kids and families that they had to support. And, I thought my why was, let's get this out to the whole world. And what I got brought back to by my coach was why I coach in the first place. I don't coach to manage people. I coach to change people's lives. I don't even do leadership for people to be successful. I do it as a tool for people's lives because I want marriages to be stronger. I want people to be healthier inside and out. I want a society of people. So I do that one person at a time. So my why, I've gotten my why. That's why when I tried to implement certain things, I just didn't have the grind behind it because my why wasn't in contacting HR departments. My why was in my one-on-one coaching and my workshops. So that really clicked in for me. I get up every day and I love what I do and I can't wait to talk to the people that I talk to.
Next, we have Amy, then we have Doug, and then we have James, and then I might jump in.
Thanks, Mark. I was not part of 1 Million Cups when you did your initial presentation, so this was super interesting, and now I'm going to go back into the archives and check it out. I own a candy business and made a pivot last year when the partnership of my previous business dissolved. So I've been asking this challenge question a lot lately, staying motivated and ambitious. And I think the ambition doesn't change. The motivation certainly change. And I don't do formal coaching, but I have a strong crew of interns from high school age to college age. And I find that the mentoring is a big driver. The giving back is a big driver. And we'll see how long that goes. That maintains the motivation going forward. I've gone from selling $100,000 a year, and this year I'm staring 5,000 in the face. And the expenses don't change. So thank you for your story. I appreciate it. And I will cede the floor.
Thank you, Amy. So you do what I like, you find the why and exactly what I do. I just get paid specifically for that. It's interesting because my clients who have lost their drive for their company, when I often they're drivers, they're very, very motivated and driven for success. And when I shift them back to the people who work for them, the impact they have on those lives, or what they can do to help other entrepreneurs, other people in the community, or create foundations, that helps also. So I'm noticing just what you say is the thing that does it is helping other people.
Next, we've got Doug, then we've got James. Jen, you can go before me, and then I'll go. Go ahead, Doug.
Thank you. So it's very nice to meet you, Mark, and I really love the presentation. A lot of the things you said, I can relate. I'm building a business as well, and sometimes when you try so hard, like like what you said earlier, like you're trying to be 1% or whatever it takes, right? But sometimes you don't know, you underestimate the trade-off. Like you don't know what you're gonna have to sacrifice. And so for me, I lost my marriage. So like I didn't expect that. And it's kind of painful. And so I have two questions. The first one is that, for things like that, to happen sometime in life, you kind of like burnout, right? So how do you recover from burnout? And the second question I have is, so I'm running a tech company, and I have a tech partner, and I can see that, you know, like, because like we've been on a journey for probably 4 or 5 years now, and like sometimes if we don't really get closer to our success, our milestone, you kind of like losing the hope, right? And I can see that my partner sometimes he losing the grip. He not supposed to do as much as he should. And you know, running a company, you have to constantly keep up. You have to motivate your team. And I don't want to push him too hard, right? But then you, like as a founder, or you know, you run business, you have to push the company forward. You know, sometimes I have a talk with him, and like he motivated for a couple of days, and then he goes right back to like, you know, this slow mode again. So it's very kind of like frustrating. So how do I make him, you know, like motivated and move faster, and so that we can make better progress?
Wow, those are great questions, and congratulations for you for keeping on that. The first piece about avoiding burnout, you know, when you're, you know, before 40, you know, your body takes care of you. After 40, you take care of your body, right? You know, when I got into my 60s, actually in my 50s, it got very clear that I needed support in order to be able to do anything. I needed to have a natural path doctor. I needed to have a trainer to make sure I was showing up at the gym. I knew that I can't run on fumes like I could when I was hungry in my 30s. So hiring you know, someone like John Foster and getting, you know, making sure that you're paying attention to the things that support you to be who you are, making sure you're doing the gym, making sure and, you know, you paid the cost of your relationship. I'm sorry to hear that. So many of us, you know, so many of us do. But making sure that those priorities are in there, you will go faster and go further if you do those things every single time. I've never had a client who I've taught to meditate go slower. I've never had a client who I have go to the gym, because I have a rule. All my clients are younger than me, that if I'm in better shape than you, we can't coach together. Right. So I've never seen anybody go slower taking care of themselves. And then the other piece is, you know, that happens a lot in partnerships, and the coaching that I do, it's, you know, it's having the partner focus on only the things that light them up. You're not going to push a rock, you know, you're going to spend half your time trying to motivate them to go in the direction you want to go. And if they've lost the fire, you have to find the things that they have the fire for. I have clients who have a $25 billion business, and one of the 4 partners does nothing. And the other 3 partners and the other people notice that, and he does nothing but sit there and be rich. And you know, the CEO, you know, the conversation with him is, you have, you know, you have to have an intervention, like the whole leadership team. What do you want to do? Because they can't let it fire him, because it'll be all over the news. So he knows that. So he's just sitting there. So the conversation is, what will light you up? What do you want to contribute? What will keep you motivated? And that's a journey. But you should, you know, you holding him up and the rest of the company up is another recipe for burnout. Hopefully that's helpful.
Next, we've got James, then we've got Jen. I'm going to jump in before you, John, and then you.
Hey, Mark. Great to see you. Great presentation. Glad business is doing well. I know, like, you and I are in kind of the same circles in some of these coaching programs and people that we're following and working. So, but the question, like, how to keep motivated and ambitious after initial success, I can only talk for what I do, which is I'm keeping my eye on the prize. The working with the clients is great, and that success of them is what kind of drives me along. But the prize is always like, what is it that I'm doing it for? Which is essentially the lifestyle that I want to have. Right? There's a lot of things I could go and do, but there's only certain things that are going to allow me to have the lifestyle that I want to have. And so the coaching business for me was more the vehicle. We kind of fell into this in 2009. It wasn't something that I had thought about for a long time. Like I said, for me, Mark, it's just about like, what am I building and why am I building it? And I think for coaches especially, you and I fell into this trap as well, which is a comparison trap. Everyone else is scaling. Hey, I should scale my business as well, right? And I had the same conversation you had, which is, well, hold on a second. I don't want to have coaches. Like, I don't want any of this stuff. I just want to build a business that actually gives me the lifestyle that I want to have. And I shouldn't be looking at anyone else and what they're doing. So that's what we did. Like, we were always told you should get coaches, you should do government work. You've got two of you in the business. No, I want to have weekends off. I want to go away for long weekends when I want. I want to take 3 weeks vacation and not care. So these are the things that I think for me, that's what keeps me motivated is I'm still in the business. I'm keeping it running. It's giving me the lifestyle that I want. I'm getting the success for the clients. That's it. There's really there's no black magic, I think, to this, right? I think the why is really important. You can have a couple of whys. Why am I doing it for the client? Why am I doing it for me? And I think it's okay to be a little bit selfish about that one, for sure. So.
Thank you. That was so helpful because you're right. In order to get the fire, I focus on the why now. And I have, except when I was first, when I went from homeless, and kind of came up, I wanted to be rich for my family. I wanted to provide for my family. I wanted a certain lifestyle for my family. I was greedy for a life for my family and wound up losing my family. Now, I don't have that same hunger for being rich, but again, the focus on I'm 62 years old. I do need to take care of 75-year-old Mark. He may or may not be coaching at 75.
Right.
So keeping this business and building that business for that guy is actually a pretty good thing. And I do have a son who's a rabbi, so my guess is he's going to need to be left an inheritance.
I will add this if I can, Melinda, just quickly. One of the things that I also do that keeps me fresh is I keep reinventing the business.
Yep.
Like I don't want to get too stagnant and doing the same things the same way for any long period of time. So innovation within the business, your business of, can I go try this, do something new and have some fun with it? That's what keeps me more. And sometimes I'll just go do something just for the hell of it, just to see what happens. I don't care about the outcome really, but it's like, that's what keeps it fun, is just trying new things, so long as it doesn't pull you away from your core business. So nice. That's what I do for fun.
Nice. And if you're who I think you are, you have a really fiery, motivated wife to keep you on your toes.
Hell yes.
Absolutely the best part of the family, of the two of them, no comparison. Tell her everyone voted unanimously.
Next, we've got Jen. Then I'm going to jump in, then John, and then Scott.
And Mark, the organizers talked a lot about your question on Monday. And I know for me personally, priorities change, but a good way for me to manage myself, one, I like structure. And so I'll do the 1-6-8, right? How many hours in a week do I have? Where do I want to spend them? And really try to stick true to that by blocking my calendar. I have an executive assistant who tries to make sure I block my calendar. Although as entrepreneurs, we can get ourselves in trouble easily. Yeah. And so I do think that's part of it too. One of the things I did that first time I did the 1-6-8 exercise was take everything off my calendar, only put back on stuff that was important to me, most important. So family time, health time, which I still struggle with. And then put back in, I need to actually have working time to deliver for my clients. I need to have time to meet with my clients. And I think that recognizing that priorities change often, I've got one child going into college, one still in high school. So I still need certain times of my day to be free, to make sure I'm available. Like those are things that really matter. And then being very mindful of not comparing, because that's hard. We're trained to compare. But I think it's the time, managing our time is the worst enemy. And really having I have to have honest conversations with myself. Do I really want to work with this client, or do I really want to work on this? You know, because I think to James's point, if we are not intellectually engaged and emotionally engaged or motivated, you can also have burnout, and not feel excited about something. So I also have to be very careful what I tolerate and my threshold for, do I want to say yes, or should I really say no? And that's an ongoing challenge. So, and those are some of the things I use to stay motivated, if that helps folks. Not always perfect, but it's a good process, at least for me.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump in quickly. Then there's John and Scott. And I wrote down a couple of things. Mentoring is, and what we talked about earlier is something that I discovered as I've gotten older when I mentor and I help people grow to that level that they want to grow to and help them define what that level is where they get everything. So I wrote down something in the mentoring area, and then I thought building your legacy, because that's what you really want to do. Wouldn't you like your business to continue on? Wouldn't you like to have a way to have it out there so that it's a reference point or something? And speaking engagements, I saw that you put back up, and I'd like to talk to you about that privately later. But that whole idea of you can be behind somebody else who has the success, and helping these folks achieve that success. And that was suggested to me probably about 10 years ago when I was hitting my head against a brick wall because of getting a little bit older and being in marketing, and where I'm really good at certain things, but maybe I'm not the person that should be the face of the business, even though I am the face of the business behind the scenes doing it. There was a strategy doing that. And I also wrote down, and when we started talking about structure and process and everything, that's the other area that is really deep, because a lot of people are structured. They have to have accomplishments. My husband's one of them. He's now retired and he's having a hard time getting a structured day. Again, a motivator that maybe there's a way that you can bring some of those kinds of discussions into your business for potential clients and your current clients. Especially as they continue to age, they may be thinking the same way, and maybe you want to do some focus groups with them. What could you provide them with that they're not getting? Things like that as well.
Nice. Thank you. That's great. That's the first time I came from being a big deal in the coaching and helping other coaches world. And I just shifted because my love is being in glass buildings with people who know nothing about coaching. And that, when you mentioned that, that's the first time my heart kind of lit up about actually helping other coaches. Like I really appreciate that. And back to what James said, the speaking thing, I turned down every speaking gig in 2023 that I was offered. And I didn't want to travel anymore. I just didn't want to talk about what I was talking about. And I wanted to talk about something different. This year, my goal is I'm a good speaker. I'm not a great speaker. This year, my goal, I hired a speaker coach to hone a keynote and to become a great speaker. So that's exciting to me, to become a great speaker, which will be a pipeline for my business.
Excellent. Okay, next we've got John, we've got Scott, and then we have Dan Linder.
When I think about what motivates me, it's my family, success, learning, sports, music. I left out friends for the moment, but when I think about what motivates me, and business doesn't get in the way of any of them, particularly with kids being adult. And, yesterday we had 2 different sessions with the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old because my daughter-in-law had to work in the afternoon. And that was the good news. So it's an attitude thing.
Hmm.
I'm lucky. Your business is more grinding than my business. Okay. It's yours is a more emotional. And having to run 5 coaches and be the manager of the coaches is a tremendous strain. Mine, the machinery works. Yes, I have people who work for us, just a couple who do configuration. But I've found that learning, trying new things within what we do is very exciting. And having the flexibility, I tease sometimes, we're a little like teenagers now. Okay, yes, all the I's are dotted, but it's attitude. Okay, nobody can tell me what time I have to be home. And nobody really gives a hoot and a holler. And if you take that attitude, then you smile more. I see it now. So that's my
awesome.
advice. It's in the attitude more than anything else. I call it yo mama. My friends in here know what I'm talking about. So congratulations, by the way. I think you made the right choices. And it's great to see you.
John, that was so useful to me. You're right. I am smiling. To think of myself as a teenager just changes the perspective of the whole thing. Or I can buy cake for lunch if I want to.
100%. We're dying anyway one day and we don't control it. And in the meantime, lift up somebody along the way, help another person, respond. Ain't that hard? Need health?
Next,
Thank
we've got Scott, and then we've got Dan.
Thank you so much, Mark. I think it's an important topic to tackle. And I struggle and wrestle with the questions around passion and motivation, because when I started my career, I was working in nonprofits, and I thought, if you want to change the world, that's how you do it. You go into the nonprofit world, and I quickly learned that I was very naive, right? There were a lot of assumptions I had made about impacting the world, and that's why I'm working on the business side, because I found that it's those who are pursuing things with excellence, who are pursuing things with discipline, and are doing so with teams that are like-minded around discipline and excellence that really motivate me. Because you could have the best cause, but if you don't have the discipline to actually do good, and if you don't have a team that is bought in to doing good at the scale that you need to, it's not gonna exactly work. But the thing I was curious about, or the thing that I was interested in, is I tend to think that passion is overrated, and the most important thing are your discipline and your community, right? The community being in part your team, right? But sometimes it's not your team. Sometimes it's just the community of people that you're trying to serve. Sometimes it's your clients. Depends on the kind of business you're in. What is the kind of discipline that you encourage for other leaders? Like, what are those habits that you're really pushing people in, pushing yourself in, but also pushing your clients towards, that make them into better leaders and help them better identify their why?
Oh, wow, what a great question. I'll start with me. So my disciplines are around my health and my well-being, because again, being my age, I cannot rely on my body to take care of myself. But within that, I'm always in a mastermind. I have a group of people who support me. That's unshakable. I need someone to whine to. Like I support people all day, every day. I need people I can whine to and not be Coach Mark. I can be a little be a little victim for a little while, and then put them on my feet. I do the same thing for my clients. My clients, they can whine to me for a moment until we put them back on their feet. It's a safe place. They have to have friends. So again, I look for where it's different for every single person. Every single person gets recharged in a different place, and every single person breaks down in a different place. I have one client who can handle all the stresses of his business, all the stresses of the people who work for him, all the stresses of the constant travel that they have to do, and all the stresses of the numbers that they work with. When he falls apart, it's when his CEO, who is a close friend, or his wife are mad at him, or the relationship is in breakdown. So his personality type is he has to have connection in order to have stability. Other people feel, if they feel out of control, so we look for what are the things that cause breakdown, and how do you get more resilient when those breakdowns happen or when those things come in the world? And then what are the things that build you up? Because it's different for everybody. I have to spend an hour and a half alone in the morning at 5:15 a.m. every day. That's my putting my 4 feet on the floor for my chair. Other people need to get to work right away. Other people need exercise. Other people need to go to church. So it's all like, it's a discovery of what are the legs to your chair, and then making those non-negotiable.
Excellent. Next, we've got Dan. Wait,
Hey,
Scott.
thank you, Melinda.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Melinda. Mark, very much liked your presentation, and thank you for being on here. And I really love your challenge questions. I was in enterprise software for a number of years. I, did very well, made a lot of money, but I wasn't happy. And I started my own business in 2018. Never looked. I missed the stock options. I missed the benefits. I missed the money, but I don't miss the grind, right? So I heard that in your voice as well. So one of the questions that I've asked, now I'm looking at your challenge question, and I have to attribute this to James, is, and you ask, how do you keep motivated and ambitious after initial success? So one of the questions that I've heard James ask is, what does your ideal customer look like, right? Who do you want to work with? And so in your coaching business, you talked about working with 20-year-olds and up. So rhetorically, I would ask, who do you like to work with the most? And those are the people that what I found in our business that generate the least stress for me, and they're profitable as well. So if you can find that sweet spot of who do you like to work with, and who you like to mentor, coach, and pass your skills on to, and make money, that's a good combination that I found.
Thank you. That's perfect. That absolutely the right thing. I do know my niche is, who I coach is pretty set. It's the bull in the china closet. It is the person who has just climbed the ladder and created a little wreckage, and who is kind of uncoachable. Those are my favorite people. I thrive on that. So I have found that is where the bulk of my money comes from. And then my absolute love is entrepreneurs in their 50s and 60s who who are in the same boat that I am. Like, how do I stay motivated? How do I take care of myself? How do I create a life for myself? And that's a smaller part of my business. It used to be the biggest part of my business, but I just love when especially men find themselves in late midlife.
Great job. We've got time for the final question, which is going to be Jen, but I just have to say one more thing. You're reminding me of one of the first books I read when I started working. What color is my parachute? And maybe it's the parachute is no longer the parachute or whatever it is. And it's figuring out people who are the new target audience is yourself and people just like you, and helping them find a purpose. Where does it all fit, and continue. Jen, jump in with the final question.
Mark, hopefully we gave you some ideas, maybe some new things or reminders. What else can we help you with?
Let's see. So structure, the suggestion has been for me to get a business manager, because I know how to make money. I don't keep it. So I'm surrendering to that and getting a business manager. I've had a waiting list now for 3 years. And for the first time in 3 years, I have 2 openings in my business. So if you know a bull in the china closet in some corporation that needs to be taught manners, needs to be taught leadership skills, I would love a referral. yeah, that's what's up for me now.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hopefully, I think it was also food for thought for everybody in the call. Next week, it was going to be LinkedIn for Business. I think we're going to push that out a week or two, so stay tuned. We do have many applicants in the pipeline. So if you're interested in coaching business owners, learning what we do, playing in the margins, you don't have to be an organizer full time. You can hop in when it works best. Many hands make light work. Just let us know. There are some upcoming events, and if there are folks on the line who want to share theirs, you can drop them in chat or raise your hand. But two that I want to point out, July 14th is the deadline to apply for this pitch opportunity for founders. If you want to learn more, you can go to MEC, I'll put it in chat, to that website, MEC-Fairfax.org. And under events, you can see this. You can click on the link if you would like to practice or to actually pitch. And then July 30th, we'll share more news about this. MEC and 1 Million Cups, we're just going to collaborate and do a networking event July 30th from 3 to 5 in person. It's actually going to be in the kitchen area and throughout the incubator. So if you want to learn more about that or join us, please do so. James Lawson or others, anybody have events they want to share and unmute or drop in chat? Now's a great time to do that.
Thanks, Jim, but no, I got nothing.
Well, you got an event on July 30th to come to. Again, if you do have events, we're happy to share them online. Just send them along and let us know. John Foster will be presenting next week for Green Fair, and he does have a time-sensitive challenge question. So please come back and let's support him with that. I don't think we can ever get enough with John Foster, so maybe John and I'll do the 26th, but if not, we'll schedule our LinkedIn session very soon.
Yep.
Again, we have 5 applicants in the pipeline. You'll see those start to get scheduled. August, we also have openings, but these openings are going to dwindle. So for Sawyer, Chris, anybody who is interested, Janine, in presenting, let us know. Again, I'll put the link in chat. The other thing you can do is scan this QR code and you'll find the application to apply. You'll also find our social media. You can go and watch, I did not type that right. You can go and watch past presenters to see how they presented and what they presented. We try to, again, make it very easy. You'll actually see a link to fill out, and that form in this QR code creates your slides for you. So again, we really work hard to make this an easy process. We would love for folks to join us. Again, you can scan the link, follow us on social, just come back next week and help out John. Otherwise, stick around for a while. I'll go ahead and stop recording and stop sharing. Give me 1 second.